Welcome back, everyone, to Agani Academy English. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Eric. It's so great to have you all joining us again for another episode. We're really excited about today's topic, which is super, super useful, especially for your English exams.
That's right. Today, we're going to dive into mastering how to compare options in English. And we'll focus, of course, specifically on what you need for the PET speaking exam.
Yeah, like comparing things is just a really important skill, not just for the exam, but for everyday life too, right? So we're going to make this lesson, engaging and fun, and hopefully really helpful for all of you.
Absolutely. We've got some great tips and practice coming up, so get ready to improve your English and feel more confident about those comparisons. So let's talk about why the skill of comparing options is very important, especially for your PET speaking exam.
Yeah, exactly, Amanda. I mean, for those taking the PET, you'll know that in part 2 of the speaking exam, you get two pictures, right?
Right. And a lot of students, they just describe each picture, which is, good for a start, but it's not really enough for a good score.
No, not at all. The examiners, they really want to see that you can do more than just describe. They want you to compare and contrast them. So you need to talk about what's similar and what's different in those pictures.
Yeah, it's not just about saying, oh, this picture has a dog and that picture has a cat. You have to actually, dig a bit deeper. You need to analyze them.
Precisely. You have to show you can see the connections or the lack thereof between the two images. Are they both indoors? Are they doing similar activities? How are they different in terms of the atmosphere or the people?
So I guess, it's about showing you can think critically about the visuals, not just list what you see. It's a really crucial skill for, getting those higher marks in the PET exam.
Absolutely. It shows a deeper level of understanding and, a wider range of vocabulary and grammatical structures too. So mastering comparisons, it's really key. Okay, so now that we know why it's important, let's get into how we actually do it. We're going to start with some really basic fundamental phrases that are, super useful for comparing things.
Yeah, the building blocks, right?
Exactly. First up, one of the simplest is both and. It's great when two things share a characteristic. So for example, you could say, both pictures show people outdoors, or both cats and dogs make great pets.
Oh, I like that one. It's so straightforward. And, for the exam, you could say both options present a way to relax and both involve being outside. See? Really simple.
Yeah, super simple but effective. Next, we have whereas and while. These are really good for showing a contrast between two things. So, picture A shows a busy city street, whereas picture B shows a quiet countryside. Or, while I prefer coffee, my friend prefers tea.
Those are really handy for setting up a clear opposition. For the PET exam, you might say, while the first picture focuses on individual study, the second picture shows group work. Or, whereas the first activity seems relaxing, the second one looks more energetic. It really helps highlight the differences,
Totally. And then for more direct comparisons of dissimilarity, we have unlike. Unlike my brother, I enjoy cooking. Or, unlike the first image, the second image is in black and white. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, that's a good one. It really points out the opposite quality. For the exam, you could just say, unlike the indoor setting of the first photo, the second one clearly shows an outdoor scene. Or, unlike the noisy environment shown here, the other place seems very peaceful.
Right. And then on the flip side, for similarities, we use similar to or different from. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. My new car is similar to my old one, but it's a different color. Or this task is different from the one we did yesterday.
Yeah, they're pretty clear. For the PET, you could say something like, The activity in this picture is similar to what people do on weekends, whereas the other one is quite different from typical leisure activities, or simply, they are very different from each other in terms of atmosphere. These basic phrases, they just give you a really solid foundation. Okay, so we've talked about how to compare, right? The basic phrases. But a really important part of the PET speaking exam, especially part 2, is not just comparing, but also expressing your personal preference and why you prefer something.
Yeah, you can't just say, this is different. You should say, and because it's different, I like this one better, right?
Exactly. So some really common and useful phrases for expressing what you'd prefer are simple, like I'd prefer or I think is better because. For example, if you're looking at 2 pictures, one with a beach and one with mountains, you might say, I'd prefer the beach holiday because I love swimming in the sea. Or, I think the mountain hike is better because I enjoy being active.
Oh, those are super clear. So it's not just stating a preference, but immediately backing it up. And that's where the justification comes in, right? You can't just leave it at, I prefer it.
Totally. And that because is your best friend here. But you can also add more detail. The main reason is a great phrase for that. It really signals to the examiner that you're about to give a good, solid reason.
Yeah, that's a good one. So instead of just, I prefer the beach because I love swimming, you could say, I'd prefer the beach holiday. The main reason is that I find the sound of the waves very relaxing, and I really enjoy swimming, which helps me de-stress. See how that just adds a bit more to it? It's not just a simple reason. It's a bit more developed.
Yeah, absolutely. You're linking your opinion to a supporting idea. And for the PET, it's really important to show that you can develop your ideas a little bit, not just give short answers. So you're not just saying, I like it, but I like it because of X, Y, and Z, which leads to this feeling or benefit.
Exactly. It just, it shows you can think critically and express yourself more fully. So remember to always try and add that why after your what.
Yeah, that's really key, right? Developing your ideas. So we've covered the basic comparisons and how to express preference, which is great. But to really, stand out a bit in the PET exam, you want to sound more natural and a bit more fluent. And for that, we need some slightly more advanced structures.
Oh, I'm ready. What have you got for us, Amanda?
So one really common and super useful phrase is on the one hand, on the other hand. This is perfect when you're discussing 2 different aspects of the same thing or 2 different things, just, showing both sides.
Oh, I know this one. It's for balance, right? So, for example, on the one hand, a big city offers many job opportunities, but on the other hand, it can be very expensive to live there. Is that a good example?
Yes, perfect, Eric. That shows both the positive and the negative. It's really good for showing contrast. Another one is although or even though. These are really good for showing a contrast within a single sentence.
Right. So although the weather was bad, we still enjoyed our picnic. Or even though it was late, she decided to finish her homework. It connects 2 ideas where one is a bit unexpected given the other.
Exactly. You got it. And then we have however. This one is often used to introduce a contrasting idea, usually at the beginning of a new sentence. It's a great linking word.
Okay, so the first option is cheaper. However, the second option offers better quality. That really makes it clear that you're shifting your focus or, introducing a different point.
Yeah, it's very clear and concise. And finally, we have in contrast to. This phrase is really good for directly comparing 2 things, highlighting their differences very strongly.
Okay, so in contrast to the city, the countryside is very quiet and peaceful. Or in contrast to my brother, I prefer to study in the evenings. It really puts them side by side, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. These phrases, they just, help you express more complex ideas and sound more sophisticated in your comparisons. It's all about adding variety and clarity to your speech for the PET exam.
Okay, so Amanda, we've gone through all these great phrases, right? The simple ones, the preference ones, the slightly more advanced ones. Now, I think it's time for some actual practice, just like in the PET exam.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. This is the fun part, I think. So imagine you're in the PET speaking part 2, and the examiner shows you 2 pictures. For our listeners, let's imagine 2 types of holidays.
Okay, good idea. So picture 1, let's say, is a beautiful sunny beach with people relaxing, swimming, that kind of thing. A beach holiday.
And picture 2, let's imagine, is a busy city street with famous landmarks, people exploring museums maybe, shopping, a city break.
Perfect. So our task is to compare and contrast these 2 holidays and then say which one we'd prefer and why. Who wants to go first? I can start.
Go for it, Eric. Show us how it's done.
Okay. So when I look at these 2 pictures, I see some clear differences, but also, a few similarities. On the one hand, a beach holiday, it's really relaxing and peaceful, whereas a city break often involves a lot of walking and, can be quite tiring.
Good start.
Thanks. Both holidays, however, offer a chance to escape from your daily routine and just try something new. But in contrast to a beach holiday, where you might spend most of your time by the water, a city break offers a lot of cultural activities and sightseeing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think similar to a city break, a beach holiday can also offer some activities like water sports, although it's mostly about relaxation. Unlike a city, a beach is, generally quieter, which some people might prefer.
Totally. So for me, personally, if I had to choose, I'd prefer the city break. The main reason is that I really love exploring new places and learning about history and culture. Although a beach holiday sounds nice for a few days, I think I'd get a bit bored just, lying on the sand.
I totally understand that. For me, I think the beach holiday is better because, well, I really enjoy just relaxing and soaking up the sun. I find cities sometimes a bit too overwhelming with all the crowds and noise. Even though a city offers many things to see, I prefer the peace and quiet of the beach.
See, that's great. We both used a bunch of the phrases we talked about, and we also gave clear reasons for our choices.
Yeah, that's the key, right? To just not just say, I prefer X, but why you prefer it. And using those linking words and comparison phrases just makes your answer so much richer.
Yeah, that's the key, right? To just not just say, I prefer X, but why you prefer it. And using those linking words and comparison phrases just makes your answers so much richer.
Exactly. So, just to kind of wrap up our comparison journey for today, we wanted to give you a few top tips for success in the PET speaking exam, especially for this part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So first one, I think is really important. Try to use a variety of vocabulary. Don't just repeat the same words over and over. If you say good or nice, maybe try enjoyable or pleasant. Just mix it up a bit. It shows you have a wider range.
Yeah, that's a great point, Eric. And similarly, my next tip would be to link your ideas effectively. We talked about those linking words like whereas, however, although, in contrast to. Use them. They make your speech flow much more smoothly and help the examiner understand your comparisons clearly.
Totally. And don't forget to give full answers. Don't just say, I prefer the beach. You need to explain why. We just demonstrated that, right? Add details, reasons, examples. It just really helps to show your language ability.
Right. And I think another crucial tip is managing your time. In the exam, you won't have forever to talk about the pictures. So practice speaking for maybe 1 to 2 minutes on each set of pictures. Make sure you compare, contrast, and express your preference within that time frame.
Yeah, that's super important, the time management.
And I guess finally, and this is probably like the most important one, practice, practice, practice. The more you use these phrases and tips, the more natural they'll become. So try to find a friend or even just talk to yourself in front of a mirror, just practice comparing things. So I guess that brings us to the end of our episode today on comparing options. We really hope, these tips and phrases help you feel more confident for the PET speaking part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, it's not just about describing the pictures, but really showing you can analyze them, talk about their similarities, their differences, and then express your preference clearly. It's a key skill.
For sure. So, thank you so much for tuning in to Agani Academy English. We really appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yeah, and please just keep practicing those comparison phrases and those justification techniques. The more you use them, the easier they'll become,
Definitely. And we can't wait to have you join us for our next episode of Agani Academy English, where we'll be diving into another exciting English topic. See you next time.
Bye for now.